Hello and welcome back once again, my friends. Thanks so much for dropping by or coming on in for the first time. Either way, you're always welcome here, and I hope you're going to find some fun, hardcore vanilla Minecraft content to watch. Always ask your doctor, whatever the question is. They went to school a long time to be able to give you an answer, or check with reliable colleagues, not just know-it-alls on the internet. Anyway, we're back, and it's 2 more hours or so since the last time we talked about that. I really thought we were going to just plug along, but it was probably best that um, I get forced to buckle down and get on with some stuff. That's how life usually works out. And what do I mean by that? Well, we just want to have a backup here. We'll go ahead and use the diamond pick down to the nub. There's no real sense in preserving it, but also need to be ready for the eventuality that it's going to be gone. It's kind of cool how that switches back. It looks the same as the rock. When I was like, man, did we only do a part of that? No, just the optics. So here we go. Our farm is definitely looking solid now. Um, 2/3 of the way laid out in terms of fields, and then we've got the additional uh, boundary stuff to do. Let me just. Ooh. Come along like this. It's kind of weird how the angle changes those. This one looks a little wider until you get right up on top of the other, and it's just the perspective of that angle. So I'm just spot finishing up this one so we can harvest everything. Um, Typically, I just let the fields grow up to the point where they've got just one or two incomplete, and then harvest them, waiting on complete ripening. Is just an inefficiency because you're wasting time for all those others to grow again. Go too short though, and you've got not enough crops. So we just came over here in the middle of the day last time, then, huh? Guess so. All right. Well, let's see if we can get these done before the monsters come out. Depending on how our inventory does, we should make it through these two. We'll just race back to bed, put all the wheat away, and whatever over 4 stacks of seeds, assuming we get that many. I think that should be good. In fact, well, now we can do that. But I would prefer to have the wheats back inside. All right, now we are good to go. So that just over 3 stacks of wheat. Very nice. We want to have 4 ready to go, and we'll have those extras. This is where we're going to be juggling a bit. So let's store the bone meal for a moment. We'll keep keep one stack to do the uh, carrots and potatoes. Everything else, though, I think we want to turn about. Put that there. Okay, now these will get us the next outer path and any of the rest of the edges, the base or the foot, the area closest to us on this side. Let's go upstairs and look. Now we got some light out there. We can actually see something. Got our nice deck here. Sure, something will shoot arrows at me. So we've got all this this stretch right here done. That's all ready to go. And we've got this path done out into the distance. So we're going to have to quarry out the rock on these two, and the irrigation channel in between. Dig the dirt on the other side, move the dirt into the places where we pulled out the stone, where that applies. Get the water filled in, put in the half slabs, light it, turn the soil, and put in our potatoes and carrots eventually. So outside of that, on this far side, we've already got a mark for the 2 wide, and we'll then do the exterior stretch of this deep slate brick as well. So we'll have a nice ring around the side. We're eventually going to put up the walls to keep mobs out, and all of this will be lit. We'll run some torches up the paths and across on the bottom ends. Should be very pleasant for our happy plants to grow. That's the idea anyway. And with that being said, let's go ahead and sleep. So some more concentrated diggering. Here. But other than another Enderman and the spider we were looking at last night, pretty good here. And as you can see, our melons are doing okay there. And yeah, oh, you know what we should be doing before we do any of this? Totally forgot. We need to get our wheat seeds back in. And for that, we don't want to shield it. That's another one of those tough pills to swallow when you've been playing in an advanced world. Not only is the totem nice in the an emergency kind of seatbelt, keep me from dying if things go wrong, or give me another chance to be saved kind of situation, but you don't have to deal with all the annoying hold blocks that the shield gives you. And I know there's some people that don't want the stigma of having to carry a shield around, like, oh, that's this is noob stuff. You're just, well, it's also hardcore stuff. And particularly the creepers and the skeletons, it can make a huge difference. If not to your out and out survival, then to your consumption of food. Because if you just run up on every skeleton you see, and yeah, you can dodge them when you're far away, and just keep them missing you with arrows. But every time that he does hit you as you eventually get close, that's going to be damage that you're going to have to eat to compensate for. So until you get your food going, it's a pretty good thing to have in your kit, so to speak. So we'll get to the beets, but I think I want to get everything as ready as possible here. And once we get settled in here a little bit, I'll relate all the progress where we stand in terms of Hambbage being able to produce reliable videos and everything. I hope, at least in some regard, we have made huge strides today. So as I mentioned in the previous video, which should be completed as I record this one, I'd recorded that content early today. It's Friday today, I believe, and was saying in it, sorry, didn't get any videos up yesterday. I tweeted that to that effect, and that was, anytime you plan to do something and then can't by forces outside of your control, that can be really frustrating. And I talk a lot about attitude and effort being the two things that you can control. And I found myself several times yesterday say, you've got to take control of your attitude. Otherwise, circumstances are just going to destroy your attitude for the whole day. And there were times when I wanted to rage, times when I wanted to just kind of say, "F it," let's do something else or go outside. But I also, for weeks now, I've wanted to make some real significant progress. And as I described in the previous video and in my tweet yesterday, was a day just full of internet outage. Like all day. I woke up at 6:45-ish and had no internet service. And went outside, came back in, still no internet service. Made some coffee, did everything I could to kind of pace myself. All right, go ahead and take the shower, get all ready for the day, keep it positive. Nothing. And finally, it got to a point where I couldn't put it off anymore. I'd been going all day with no internet, and it so many times in the last couple weeks it had been flaky, it had been up and down, and if I just waited, usually 10 minutes or 20 or so, it would come back. And a few times it went for a couple hours, and I'd get mad and be like, man, I should really, engage support about this. And in the end, they fix it by the time you think about really doing that, and as soon as your internet comes back, you're like, oh, I want to get back to whatever it was I was going to be doing. In my case, playing Minecraft and uploading videos. And the reason why I never went ahead and did it and just kind of hoped for the best was I knew it would be a headache to try to go through this ordeal. And sure enough, it was yesterday, because one of the few real drawbacks I have in the place where I live right now is my cell phone provider does not have good signal. My actual apartment seems to be in a hole of internet connectivity. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know. Maybe I live across a ley line or something like that. Who knows? But it's like falling in a hole. It shows sometimes that I get a bar of 4G, but it's totally unreliable and spotty and ups and downs and drops and all that kind of stuff. So when my internet goes out, I'm really, really cut off. I pretty much lose my phone service indoors and texts and everything else. It's all just non-functional, and that part completely baffles my internet provider in particular, but kind of anybody. They're like, what do you mean? Just get on the cell, okay, we don't have that, we'll just download the app and then connect it. And I'm like, but I don't have Wi-Fi, or I don't have internet over my cell carrier at my apartment. I can't be there. Okay, well then just call this toll-free number. No, you don't understand. I don't have a landline phone. There's nothing. When it's down, everything's down. I'm cut off, and it's kind of overhype a little bit intentionally. It's like, all right, well, I'll uh, I'll kind of make this point, but I can walk, out into my parking lot and have pretty reliable service if I, just go over to the opposite line of parking spaces. It's back to pretty good. That's how baffling it is, and why I keep thinking, hey, maybe they'll add an extra tower at some point and it'll just get better. It doesn't, but keep hoping. Anyway, so that was what I knew I was up against if I ever called in for these outages. And the worst part is I'm sure everybody knows, every help desk has an automated menu now, and it's a time saver, and it really is. I've worked on the back end of those. I get why they're there, and there is basic troubleshooting that's not inherent to people that needs to be done. But what those systems fail to do is that's not what I was looking for, is account for or give you any means to say, I've tried up through steps, boom, 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 boom. I need to, I need to do whatever's next. And they just don't have that functionality built in or conveniently accessible, somewhat by design. They also, a lot of these service providers that have phone trees and everything, that's why they're so hated. They don't want to pay people to spend time talking on the phone to people that just would prefer not to interact with their automated, cheaper system. It's kind of it's like going to buy a car from a used car salesman. You know what you're in for, because the deck is a little bit stacked against you. And I'm not trying to disparage people. It's just 95% of people, even though they may want to flex and oh yeah, I know everything I need to know about cars. I'm an expert. No, you're really not. Like, you may boast to your friends and all that. You may even be a fair mechanic and be able to work yourself out of jams and do your own maintenance and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to buying a car, the salesman, hands down, knows more than you will. It's new materials. They change the verbiage, they change the packaging, they change the pricing schemes. All that kind of stuff is all designed so that even if you've bought 20 cars in the past, some little piece of it is going to be a curve that's going to keep you off balance. And the same certainly goes with support. And they just understand that most things will either go away or get resolved, and that's part of why I didn't make a big deal about my internet earlier. I can be kind of flexible, especially with this kind of stuff. It's a hobby at this point, teaching myself some skills, but it doesn't go beyond that, certainly. So I can be fairly flexible, except when every other aspect of my life also gets interrupted, it becomes a bigger issue. So I finally broke down and called yesterday, and I made a total, this is as bad as any like Minecraft derp you've ever made. I don't have any internet or any phone service, and it was middle of the day by the time I finally was like, yeah, I'm going to go deal with this. It was warm out, and I'm like, I don't want to sit in my parking lot waiting for these people to go back. I'm going to go get some lunch at a restaurant with Wi-Fi and bring my laptop and my phone and kind of do this whole initial support hoops and everything that I had to jump through while I'm getting lunch. Kind of make the best out of a bad situation. Where did you come from, friend? And so I go to this restaurant, not like a favorite restaurant, but kind of cool and dark interior, lots of space, and big dining room, lots of tables. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to be like jammed in, and can get a 4-top type table and put my laptop on one side, get my food and all that, not spill anything on my laptop while I'm working on it, all that good stuff. And I do all that, except of course, like their Wi-Fi is like it blocked YouTube, I believe, because it couldn't get that to load at all, which it kind of makes sense, right? You know, kids and all that. In one sense, I would think that a restaurant would want parents to be able to just, you know, hand their kids a phone and be like, hey, watch some videos and keep wild kids under control. The restaurant isn't responsible for parenting, so I got no moralizing ground to point to the hey, parents should do a better job. You know, if you're bringing your kids out, be respectful of the other guests. No, I think the restaurants are fine there to say, yeah, just hand them your phone and go nuts. Let them have a good time too, right? The restaurant is just about selling an experience and not being responsible for how the manners of a child that's growing up in our society, right? So, while I would say, you know, when my niece and nephew were young and we go out for dinners and stuff like that, there was no way my sister or my brother-in-law were going to hand their kids their phones and be like, hey, yeah, just check out, you know, your grandparents, your uncle, everybody's hanging out to see you. So you just ignore everybody and sit and play on your phone. No, you know, somebody, usually grandparents there, are taking everybody out to dinner to make it a special memory. The kids aren't exempt from that, and from an early age. I think age is no real excuse to not reinforce that. That's the special part. It's not just, you know, eating the food while you're there. It's getting to be with family, and those lessons are instilled more deeply if you start them, you know, as children. Now, I'm not irrealistic, right? They shouldn't, you know, children are not just young adults or little bodied adults that should be expected to sit and have a intellectual discourse on politics or whatever. You know, like, look, if you're just sitting around and all that kind of stuff, or it's like, you know, at somebody's house or something like that, yeah, let the kids go play until dinner's ready to go. You know, or, you know, when everybody's done eating and everybody else is just sitting around with a cup of coffee talking. At that point, yeah, excuse the kids, let them go have fun and play and not be on their best behavior and all that. But yeah, that's something. Anyway, total tangent. I think restaurants, in the service they are providing to all their guests and trying to be a viable business, absolutely open up your Wi-Fi, man. If somebody's got a fussy screaming kid and they're, you know, making all of your other guests not want to sit around and have that extra cocktail that you're going to get tipped on, but instead we'll shut up that screaming kid and let everybody enjoy their visit, yeah, let them watch the video. Anyway, I couldn't watch YouTube or anything like that, and I'm just stuck on these support menus. Just checking all my counts here. Trying to get through the, you know, like the automated bot helper app first, and then the chat and everything like that. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, again, you guys know I've been in the IT world. I've got all that background. I know what needs to be done and what the intent of the questions are that they're asking. So that's where I run into my perpetual frustration is I'm sitting there knowing I've already done all there is on my end. Either there's something that they need to do on the back end, or it's now gotten to a point where it's hardware on my end and it needs to be replaced to really fix the issue. One way or the other, you know, I gotta move beyond the basics. So, you know, it pops up, hey, you know, would you like to reset the deal? Blah, 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 blah. And the first time I try to kind of like end around it, update, no initial troubleshooting fails or something, you know, whatever it was in the chat. I'm trying to get to a chat with an agent. So it goes into, would you like to schedule a deal? And I'm like, no, I just want to check with somebody to see if they can see it from the back end or what needs to happen. Well, that all goes through. And then, like, at the same time, I've got a person trying to call me on my cell from a crackly connection from a call center. I've got that dropped eventually on, I believe, their side. I've got a chat bot that is trying to schedule me for an appointment, and I've now got both sides sending me texts to my phone to confirm what they're trying to do, and it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and I finally, by the time I'd finished lunch and headed home, I had a tech scheduled to come to my house this morning at 7 a.m. And I was upset that, okay, well, despite all my efforts, I'm now going to be down for a full 24 hours and not much more I can do about it. But when I got home, I still wasn't just going to, okay, well, that's it. So I did a quick additional power cycle on my router in case my reported troubles, my trouble tickets, had gotten triggered some kind of a, account reset or whatever on the back end. And initially, nothing happened. But then, after I'd done that one, I just unplugged the little internet modem thing, cable modem, whatever. That was a disaster. And left it unplugged for a good hour or so. And then, the next time I was thinking about it, I just plugged it back in. Okay, what did that do for me, kind of deal? And sure enough, like within the next hour, my internet came back. And of course, right on the heels of that, of my noticing it, and they were, they probably saw a little thing that popped and said, activity. So then I get the, hey, this is so and so from advanced support, and I'm here to tell you that to ask if you're still having your internet issue, right? Like, well, your phone got through. If you were reading all the notes, you'd see. Well, in the meantime, the chat guy had popped up. Well, I guess worst story ever. The as I realized my internet was up, I immediately pulled up the support page, popped up the thing, and I was specifically wondering if I should keep the tech visit because I knew this was, yay, the internet connection is restored, but I've been having these ongoing issues, and it would seem that they're just me, not everybody. They hadn't associated me to a wider outage or anything. Okay, I can figure that out. This is a me problem, not a everybody problem. So on and on and on and on it goes in the chat, and eventually the guy says, well, based on the age of your, let's call it a cable, I don't know, whatever the device is, that connects to the cable internet in and the converts it all into Wi-Fi and all that good stuff, right? It's my router. He goes, well, yeah, that's like 5 years old. I set up the service in 2017, and he was like, that's kind of beyond what we would recommend. And I'm paraphrasing because there was comprehension and translation stuff back and forth. So he's all saying what I kind of agree with. Okay, well, even though your internet connection is back up, we're going to have the tech come out and check your modem, and if he agrees that it should be reset, then we'll just go ahead and do that. He'll have one in the truck and all that, and you'll be in good shape. Yay. Not yay. Because then the guy called after I've already said this. Yeah, we're going to keep the appointment. We're going to have the guy come. He's going to check the hardware and set us up if we need to be. On the heels of that, this other guy calls, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from the advanced support team, and I'm here to say that you should cancel your appointment." I'm like, "Whoa, we just, like, this guy just said, no, don't do that." So he goes through this whole deal, and he's like, I don't know if you know this, but there's an Xfinity store like a mile from where you live. And I'm like, what? He's like, and then the bell is kind of ringing in my head. He's like, yeah, it's over in this shopping center. And I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I literally sat in a restaurant at a table connecting over Wi-Fi, dealing with, a bot and a call center and all this stuff. I had parked in the alley that's between the Xfinity store, that's my provider's Xfinity Comcast, and the restaurant that I ate in. Like, literally, if I'd turned around, I could have probably walked less than it took me to get to my seat at the table and talked to them in person and been like, hey, here's my deal. Can we fix all this? Instead, I wasted a day. So sorry about that, everybody. That was my big derp. But I figured that all out today because after I recorded the last episode, the internet went down again as I was going to load it in YouTube Studio. It had a problem loading the site, and then the next thing I knew, the connection had timed out, and I had no internet while connecting to my Wi-Fi. So, hey, we're back in the same boat. Boo-hoo. But I was prepared. I just ripped out the cable router Wi-Fi thing and took it into the shop and said, hey, this is what the guy told me to do. He said that you guys would take this and activate it for me before I leave so I can just plug it in and go. And they're like, again, they couldn't get that I would not be able to do any of this where I was at. And that kind of felt like, hey, we just don't want to be bothered with this. You guys, you go deal with it. But whatever the case, I got it sorted and squared away. And I now, hours later, like 2 visits, I got upgraded speed. Of course, this is just like cell phones or anything else. You go in for support, and I'd known it because I'd gone over my data usage limit. And he was like, "Yeah, I see that. It's only like $12 to go unlimited from your current limit. You want to just do that? Yeah, let's do that." So we now have unlimited data, which is awesome for streaming. I knew that was coming. I got higher speed. I dropped one TV box because now I can stream for the limited amount of like over-the-air TV I actually watch. I have the one box in my living room, and then I got rid of another and can stream it. And he's like, if you have a Roku, we now have like a streaming service on the Roku, so you can just do that. I was like, ha ha ha, I already have one of those. I'm going to get another one for my other TV. Boom, bang, bing. We're going to be in good shape. So fingers crossed, all the connectivity stuff is now done and dealt with. All that remains is to start back over on the PC. When I say start over, just, it hasn't had any real setbacks or anything like that. I just haven't, between chasing all this stuff down and everything else, I haven't had any time to look at it, much less make progress on it. So that's all going to come to. We got good things to do. I'm going to have a sip here while I'm resetting. So yeah, it felt like a million trips, It's over in a place that I usually walk to. But because, I had all this gear and I was trying to do it quickly and get everything squared away, I'm like driving and, midday traffic and all that. It was pretty annoying to have to deal with all that. But we got it. Finally. Now, if I'm going to take the time to get you, I want something more than zombie flesh. Okay, so we've got our last water and light setting here to finish up. And this time maybe we'll do it right. Third time's always the charm. That's the one where you figure out all the tricks. Oh, so close. Oh, there we go. Then if I do this time, I still have to pop up here, but if I go like that, start this right, and get this out of the way. Come on. Ugh. Is it faster or slower? We don't even. We're halfway. Working with half slabs, not my idea of awesome fun. So anyway, to wrap up all my trials and travails of internet and all that kind of stuff, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. It's the speed, but I've never really been too limited on speed and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, sure, if you're doing like a huge download of, an update file or something like that, absolutely, you're gonna notice an improvement. But otherwise, I've always had pretty good internet anyway. Yeah, my upload time for the previous video went from usually somewhere just over an hour for like the hour and 10-minute type time frame, and it varies a little bit time of day and everything too. Went from just over an hour to 20 minutes. So yeah, I'd say it's a little quicker, and that will definitely be welcome. Most importantly, I knew that as much as the computer stuff was going to be essential for streaming, right? Because the up on streaming is huge consumption, and just the amount of time. I should have just done this way. So these two, and then here to here. There we go. Oh, one more side. I'm usually good for missing an entire side somewhere in one of these projects. Two. Oh, this. All right. Now we go pick up these couple of torches. We'll have to, after all that, we'll have to make more hose. But let's finally get back to our original crops here. Oh, we're going to be hard pressed here, but let's go get rid of all this dirt, because now our fill should be done. We may need some around the outside and everything eventually, but fields themselves, the dirt is done. And that'll give us back some inventory. Now we can do the beets. And look at that, not quite full field of beets, but pretty close. Something nice about doing this. I'd also mentioned in the previous episode that I'd watched that Clarkson's Farm series on Prime. I believe that's all Prime stuff. I kind of got lost in the tangent about, creative groups, whether they're bands or internet content creators or anything else, that they know the formula that keeps them great. And, it's kind of like a band, right? They may be 30 years past their classic hits, and they may have continued to produce really good stuff. But when you have a concert, like at a reunion, like the Stones, right? They had to play Satisfaction or Under My Thumb or something like that, or their fans would go absolutely crazy. It's like, yeah, and I don't know how much new stuff they made, but they had to keep true to what was putting the butts in the seats, so to speak, right? You've gotta be true to your audience. You can't just be like, oh yeah, we've decided we're going to do some experimental indie rock, and we'd like you all to put on these blindfolds now and just sit back and, if you'd like to make any noise, a soft ohm is about all that's... Like, no, man, I'm wearing my jean jacket from the 80s, and I got my Bic lighter here to hold up in the air when you play a ballad. It's like, you guys are... are able to charge us $100 ticket, or hundreds of dollars per ticket, because I want one more time in my life where I can live hear you guys play that. And it's not the same, but I've gotten to see a few folks live in concert that I otherwise wouldn't have over my lifetime. At a later stage in their career, life, or whatever you want to call it. And this is the one where we need the hoe. Let's just get these in. Back we go. We've got about 15 minutes left in this episode, which is nice. Should be just about right to wrap up our farming adventures. We need another batch of bricks here. That should Maybe one more too. Let's go with that. I don't know how much short that will leave us, but it should give us a good start. So we can do those to try to get our walls set up. We'd cut those back when we had far more area set up. We're going to have to do chests. I need those. Get rid of that. Bring those back. We need hose. Alright. We'll set those up. Then we want our carrots and potatoes. Now let's go sleep. And oh, gonna be messy. Do I have a spare? Crafting table yet? I don't know if I set one up out there. Probably already did. Now we got one. And let's put this away. Okay. Off we go. Maybe that gave... Oh, I don't see a crafting table, so maybe that wasn't the worst idea. See that skeleton just hanging out down there? He's gonna be no fun. So let's finish up these instead. Or at least in conjunction with. Bloop. So again, back to the formerly, or at least morphing styles and what you came to expect out of shows or performances, more accurately. In the last couple years, the Amazon folks have done a great job of keeping our lovable Top Gear trio entertaining. I thought the Grand Tour was pretty good. No complaints from me there. I was impressed with it. But I thought what were the like the Madagascar and Cambodia, the boats, those trips, those got back to the absolute best of what I've enjoyed over the years of Top Gear stuff. So I thought they were good to kind of change up that format a little bit, and I thought they were good to each branch out, and I'm sure it was part of the deal, right? They each got a format to do their own show. James May, the one that I think I've talked about before in here, James May, our man in Japan, he did less about the cars and just a travel from one end of Japan to another, exploring the culture and meeting people and hanging out and kind of doing that immersion tourist type stuff that is great in their shows that they kind of have picked up on. So his was one style. Oh man, no, I can't. Oh my god, let's see the BBC radio personality guy. Oh, I can't even think of his name now. Captain Crash, of course, as opposed to Captain Slow, who did the like stranded on a desert island with a some American actor. I wasn't sure who that was, or what the crossover was, but I mean, it worked. It was pretty good. Oh, he was from MythBusters. That guy. It's been a while since I watched that one. So they kind of did this like mock up. We're stranded on a desert island, and survival, very tongue in cheek, very lighthearted survival habitation stuff. Eventually they make a little plane, a little hang glider type plane, and like potato gun type stuff to have little wars with and all that. Very entertaining show. Um, but I was seriously impressed the most. I think had the most depth out of the Clarkson Farm one, and the James May cooking show too. I forgot about that. That was awesome too. But the Clarkson Farm was I was totally unexpected for it. And I had a friend that watched it back when it first came out. It was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm watching that. Wasn't a real big Top Gear fan. He's like, yeah, I think it's funny. And that was actually what kind of made me hold off. I was like, I know what Jeremy Clarkson does, and just having him solo might be tough. I wasn't sure I wanted to watch it, but I found myself thinking, especially doing this chore here right out, having watched it, find myself thinking back on a lot of it, and there's a hidden amount of depth. I don't think it's too hidden. I don't think it's intentional or not. Far more than I expected, and there's built-in stuff there, right, to make it watchable and entertaining and all that good stuff. But there's a lot more real life, and I've talked about it a lot. I grew up with a lot of my aunt's family farming in the Midwest. Or she came from a farm, grew up on a farm, very small town farm, with Scandinavian background, and added a lot of that culture and stuff to my background. But as very little kids, we get to go out and experience the animals. I think they were primarily dairy or beef. It's cows primarily, and I think they leased out a lot of their what had once been their own feed growing fields to be farmed by. I think it was early on, but just kind of that was the move. Was those all went out to the corporate seed company farmers? That really the only way you can compete in American farming these days is to sort of accept that that's going to be a part of what you need to do. You can't exactly afford to just grow your own, buy your own seeds and grow everything. That piece works a lot better if it's already rolled in. It's my very limited understanding of it. I don't know how that works. I know it's totally changed the face of farming. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I'm sure, like every change in life, it's hard, Change is and has always been difficult. You gotta consciously embrace it, but it doesn't make it any easier for families who thought they were going to, kind of raise their kids in homesteads and things like that, where they had themselves been born and raised, and their parents and sometimes grandparents and things may have been, and that the face of all that is changing. So, it is what it is. All right, we are close here. Let's try to start with our remaining minutes to kind of begin to secure ourselves here. And I don't know what this is going to do in terms of gates. where we want our access to. As I said before, how do we want to connect to the animals? Do we want to go around or do we want to go through? Do we eventually want all of this to kind of be paved and just have the interiors of the animal pens themselves cut out of it? Might look green and clean and nice. So I don't know. We'll see. But for now, we're gonna go with ooh. This is the part we wanted to have those blocks for. Do I even have a shovel? Hey, look at that. What I didn't look for there was whether we had made more. Yep, there we go. More bricks. Just as the sun appears to be going down, although sometimes that's just the brightness fading. Now, oh yeah, I was forgetting that we don't have those there. There. Boom, 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 boomish. I don't know what we want to do with those hands. All right, skellies are. Oh man. Now. Now let's get in and go to bed. All right. Well, by my clock-ish, that should be pretty close. Let's go take one more look at what we've accomplished. Then we'll kind of wrap up here. So yeah, I guess I'd give a surprised, positive, encouraging. Go check out Clarkson's Farm if you have Prime. I think it's definitely worth a watch. I think it's very entertaining and lighthearted at times, but it's got some good messages there, and it will give you a lot of respect, not just for like, oh, this is what was hard about farming back in the day, but these are the real. It's the UK, it's not necessarily U.S. farming, but the challenges are the same as far as I understand it for a lot of American farms as well, and just the understanding of all the equipment that goes into it, all the ways that things can go wrong. Very cool. So huge boost. It was. I thought it was well worth the watch, and I gotta shout out my friend and say, hey, sorry I doubted you. That was a good one. But for right now, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up because we've got more or less a farm. We'll do a few finishing touches on it, and then I think dive right back in to take on the layout initially of the animals and getting the cows. Remember, the cows are absolutely top priority here. They're the ones that we need to do all this for. That's why we needed the wheat, everything else, so that we can get the cows and the leather and the enchanting on. And now we're very much in sight there. So we'll lay out our first couple pens, figure out what we're doing as far as setting in those other farms, and then get everything rocking and rolling, probably in the next episode, and that probably will be coming here shortly. But for now, and as always, I want to sincerely thank you guys, anybody that's still hanging out, still listening, and not just skipping along to the next one. You guys rock. so glad that that people have been finding the channel and are checking it out. Hope that continues to grow. If you know other Minecraft players that are fans of following along a Let's Stream or just looking for ideas, mine may not be the ideas of you should do this, but maybe they'll tell you something to avoid down the road or how not to build a farm. I don't know. Hopefully, at least you find them entertaining. If so, consider dropping me a like or put a comment into the comment field for this video to let me know what parts of it you enjoyed or what you might have done differently. As always, if you want to keep abreast of the videos as they come out in the midst of internet outages or anything else like that, hit the subscribe button. You'll see those videos pop up in your channel. Until the next time, take a break, keep yourself well, and lend a hand to somebody else if you can. Stay the awesome, wonderful people that you are, and we will see you next time.